Has Ilya Samsonov found his game, and where has TJ Brody's gone? Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan. And guys, the Maple Leafs returning from the All-Star break with a regulation defeat to the Islanders. Ilya Samsonov, though, taking the loss, but looking sharp at times. Lance, do you have confidence that Samsonov has figured something out?
I think so. I mean, let's he didn't he didn't lose his ability overnight. It was a rocky patch for him. I think he did the right thing though. Went away, spent some time with his family, had his little help from his parents who happened to be in town, and lots of work with the goalie coaches both in Toronto and with the Marlies. Probably a great move to keep him away from that Western road trip. And lo and behold, he's back. Still some improvements to make. Last night, a little shaky, but really the entire team was feeling it. I thought coming out of the All-Star break, and now the schedule kind of opens up for him a bit. There's time for some rest. Hardly any back-to-backs coming up. You have you have Martin Jones still there. Joseph Wall a little bit away, and the interesting thing will be, of course, does he keep this rolling, and then what the Leafs do when Joseph Wall comes back? Obviously, Wall's got to play, but how do they split it among the three guys, which is the problem they had at the start of the year?
Well, I think that's pretty obvious. When Wall comes back, Jones will be sent back down to the minors. I don't think they'd carry three. But as far as Samsonov goes, I'm not ready to say he's back. I mean, he had a good little string before the break, but he struggled for 3 months before that and needed a lot of time away to get it right. And I like the way he played in those 3 games. There's no doubt. And really, even I guess that loss against Detroit, he showed some good things too initially. But last night we saw a few of the things that got him into struggles earlier on. He was swimming a bit in the crease. Certainly, that first goal that the Islanders scored didn't look good at all. The Mike Riley shot off the post, and he overplays that. And then I understand it's a fast rebound coming out to Barzal, but he's nowhere near in position to make that save. And the one thing I thought last night, guys, Keith talked about after the game, Samsonov didn't come up in this regard, but the mistakes, the mental lapses. Well, what was happening earlier in the year? They weren't getting the saves when those were happening, and they didn't last night either, especially that last goal. The Engvall rebound, given all the time in the world to put that in. But, I know Samsonov makes the initial stop, but you got to make those saves in the clutch. And I'm not putting this on Samsonov last night, but the fact of the matter is that didn't happen with 2 minutes to go, especially after at least tied it with 5 minutes to go. So, it's one game. Tomorrow night against Dallas is going to be a much stiffer challenge. There's no doubt. They're one of the best teams in the league. Now they play tonight in Buffalo, so we'll see if they're tired or not. But I still think that Samsonov needs a little bit of time here before we declare he's fully back. I mean, he's got to. I think the curious thing for me now is how does he come back from this loss? Because he hasn't had one, as we know, going into the break. Really, how does he come back from this now tomorrow night? Respond to it.
Well, I quickly add that really for last night obviously not his greatest, but for a guy who's supposedly honestly out of the league, he's made a pretty decent recovery the last few games. Last night being the exception.
Yeah, the bar has been set a little bit low here for
No kidding.
Ilya
No
Samsonov
kidding.
based on
Very low.
what
Yeah.
happened earlier this season. Meanwhile, TJ Brody has had a tough season at times this year as well, with defensive miscues in his own end. He's still averaging the second most ice time among defensemen on the team. Terry, should the Leafs find a way to reduce his role, whether it's internally or externally?
I don't know what you do with him. This is who he is now. He's 33. He's an expiring year of his contract. He's playing just over 21 minutes a game, which is around, I think, just a bit off his NHL career average. You look at it and say, well, who could we move up? Every time I think Sheldon Keefe wants to have confidence in Timothy Liljegren, we see something like what happened last night, where he's the last guy back on the Kyle McLean goal on the coming out of the penalty box. And Sheldon Keefe takes a good shot at him, not naming him, of course, after the game, but one that was deserved. So if you're going to reduce his time, you say, well, who takes those minutes? And the Leafs really don't have that guy right now. There isn't confidence in Jake McCabe to do it. And, Brody is still your leading defenseman in ice time while the team is shorthanded. So I don't think you want to take those minutes away, especially when the Leafs have Calle Yarncroke and David Camp out of the lineup for the foreseeable future, and they're doing it with a patchwork group at forward on the PK. So I don't know what you do with Brody. He's going to still get these minutes. I think they don't have the person that can come in and take over them. And the idea that he gets traded before the deadline or something before he walks, I mean, that's just silly. I mean, the rest of the league knows what Brody is now, and this is what you see with certain defensemen when they get to this age. We didn't see it with Mark Giordano. He's 40 years old and still going, but Leafs just don't have that guy that can step in and say, okay, take some of these Brody minutes away and do good things for us.
Yeah, there's a you saw the hesitation in this game last night. You were hoping maybe that long layoff would put some pep in the step, but you saw some of the same things we've been seeing. And to be fair, I mean the guy's been dealing with a lot of off ice stuff this year, but push is coming to shove pretty soon with the trade deadline, as Terry alluded to. And if you're going to load manage Mark Giordano, then I think you're definitely looking at bringing someone in. I think Brad Treliving, the one thing about him is having knowing Giordano and Brody from Calgary, he's got a pretty good idea of what these guys can or can't do in this case, and I think he would address that accordingly. We're a month away from the deadline now, and which defenseman the Leafs can add, if they can add somebody, is the big question.
Yeah, we'll see if they do or not. And again, even if you do, what are you adding? You're not adding anybody that's going to put you over the top. Chris Tanev's a good defenseman, but he's also had injuries in his career, and does he get hurt 2 weeks after you acquire him? And the Leafs don't have the assets really to give up for a guy like Tanev, but depth guy, I guess. You've got Lagesson and Timmins who aren't playing right now, but again, if the coaching staff thought there was a real issue with TJ Brody and thought there was somebody to come in and be better than him or take some of those minutes, we would have seen it by now, and we're not.
Yep, the blue line continues to be a soft spot for this team. We'll see how they figure it out. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.